Happy Wednesday, everyone. Happy midpoint of the week. College football time with Adrian Miguel. And we're only going to talk about, well, mostly one thing, but I can't help but bring the second one. But the first thing we're going to talk about is Michael Vick. Michael Vick, a man who's been through a lot of trials and tribulations. I am happy to say that he has been named the new head coach for Norfolk State football. It's the HBCU school. I am so happy for Michael Vick. Avery, what are your thoughts?
I was very impressed with it. The first article I heard was he was in the running for the Sacramento State head coaching job, which was Monday night. And then last night is when he mentioned on social media he was no longer in the running for Sacramento State, that he was going to take the Norfolk State position. And I've said this before, you don't have to be a fan of individuals. If you have mistakes in the past, if you learn from them, I I'm very proud of this for two reasons. One, Michael Vick had a very good college career, had a very good professional career. When off-field issues occurred, he paid for them. He came back. It didn't work out as well as his run with the Falcons when he was with the Eagles, but he tried to do better from himself and his mistakes. He was an analyst for Fox Sports, which was a good job, and I always applaud when former players get into television. But I think, and they're calling it kind of the Dion effect, if you will, when you have professional players that want to take their experience, good or bad, especially to the college level. And I've kind of said this repeatedly. When young men play football, whether it's Pee Wee League going into high school, if you have that great coach, that mentor to help you, to help mold you, it carries you all the way through your life and through your career, no matter where it is, whether it be on the football field, whether it be in the management of football, whether it eventually becomes coaching. So the fact that Michael Vick is now taking this turn like Deion Sanders, he has played professional football. Not well liked by a lot of people from his past mistakes. Okay, he's grown from it. He knows what he did wrong. He wants to take those mistakes that he made and say to these young men at Norfolk State, hey, if you want a life in sports and a professional career, there are things you need to do. And a lot of it could be, let's look at who you are surrounding yourself with. He will tell these young men, it's okay to make mistakes, but can you grow from it? But more often than not, he wants to be a part of this next generation of football players. So you don't always hear them on ESPN for a DUI or they're in jail for something else. This is something that, even though a lot of people could say like Deion Sanders is headed to the NFL, I think Michael Vick wants to stay at the college level, and no better place than at HBCU. I think HBCUs, my mother graduated from HBCU. I think HBCUs are a cornerstone for young men, especially playing football, where they can learn what is expected of them and how they need to mold themselves in a professional atmosphere, what is going to be sports, whether it be as a player, as a coach, management, agent wise. I like this move by Michael Vick. A lot of people are gonna have eyes on him, good and bad. What is he doing right? What is he doing wrong? They're always gonna point fingers at what have you, but I think this is a right move for him.
I think those people that think that way, they don't have peace. They really don't. None of us are perfect. The only one that is perfect is the man above. All right. And Michael Vick is is living proof of someone that you can bounce back from your mistakes. And there are so many people in this world that think that they really have a mindset that you got to be perfect. And no, we're not perfect. All right. So like gonna we all have our flaws. We all have our trials and tribulations. Yes, there are some that they do very heinous crimes, but I am a firm believer that people can change for the better. And in Michael Vick's case, even before the whole um situation that happened with him, people were jealous of him even way before that because they got tired of hearing his name. He was this, talked about guy ever since college and how talented he is and how he was going to change the game forever. And he did pave the way for so many quarterbacks like Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes. The list goes on and on. He paved the way for all those guys. So even before he went to jail for what he did, there were people that they were waiting for him to fail. They were waiting to find something to say, look. And when that happened, people cheered. And even people that wanted him to be in jail for life. Extreme, but that's just how a lot of people think, unfortunately, that when something happens, they don't believe that you can change. They want you to suffer in jail for forever. But it depends what type of crime you make. It depends on the kind of situation. But thankfully, Michael Vick, he did not went to jail for life. He got to transform himself into a better human being from what we see on the TV screen. He did had that one comeback player of the year for Philadelphia. I believe it was 2010. But yes, his career didn't pan out the way it was with Atlanta, but he resurrected himself for a short time. And he went on, to become a commentator. And now we're sitting here discussing that he will be a head coach for HBCU. And Deion Sanders starting his coaching career with Jackson State was, in my opinion, is the beginning of a trend that's gonna be happening going forward. Because look at Eddie George, the former running back, whom I grew up
Yeah.
being a
And
fan of Eddie George.
I was going to
He's
mention,
Tennessee
Eddie
State.
George. You have these former players, especially those who are prominent players. They're going back to HBCUs, even though, let's say, their college career, Dion was from Florida State, Michael Vick, Virginia Tech, but they're going to HBCUs. And like I said, these HBCUs are cornerstones for a lot of individuals going to college. And the fact that they're going there to start their college career, to get those colleges on the map, to help those young men pave the way. We are seeing a trend. We are seeing a trend. And a lot of people, just like you said, a lot of people aren't going to like this trend. A lot of people aren't going to like this trend. But here's the thing, if you love football, you're going to love to see this. If you love the game of football, you are going to love that these coaches who are former players are helping these young men succeed in life on the field and off the field.
Yes, indeed. And I'm looking forward to it. Once again, I'm happy for Michael Vick. Eddie George with Tennessee State, and we're gonna see way more of this. And it's always good to start somewhere, even if it means a school that doesn't get much of attention. As you know, Avery, I'm the type of person that I like rooting for the underdogs. I like rooting for the teams that doesn't get mentioned often, to talk about them, to write about them often. So I'm gonna be paying attention to that, pay attention to Southern Miss and New Charles, Alabama, and I gotta look into more into Eddie George as well because, like I said, Eddie George is one of those players that when I started watching football, he was one of them that caught my eye. He was a good running back in his time when he was healthy. So, and I love the battles with him and Ray Lewis. That was a fierce rivalry with Ravens and Titans. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy as long as they make a difference and get that experience and benefit from those experience. I'm all for it. But moving on, Avery, we gotta talk about this real quickly. The unexpected but very rewarding game in this bowl season. Memphis versus West Virginia last night. Memphis Tigers, they won 42 to 37 and was a wild ending. But boy, oh boy, you're talking about an offensive game with both quarterbacks just trading explosive plays back and forth. But hey, I salute to West Virginia for not quitting. They trailed 35 to 17. And then the second half, they just took it up a notch, but Memphis just did a little bit enough to get out of
Yeah.
there with the victory.
Yeah, that was it, West Virginia has been this team for a good many years. They either start off strong and wane, or they start low and then they try to bounce back. So knowing that they got into a bowl game is good for the program. What they did last night was nothing short of amazing. They were so close. They were so close. But I think it still goes to show, and we've mentioned this before, especially in college football. When it comes to the transfer portal, you move that date, you have these great bowl game opportunities. But if you have players that want to play for their school, if you have players that want to cement themselves to leave a legacy, if you will, for their school, whether it be for the draft or they just know that professional football may not be the dream, but they still love the game. That's what you get. Every year, we usually get 2 or 3 bowl games that are just really great to watch. And that was one of them. And here's the thing, we've only had a handful of bowl games now. This weekend, we're going to have a slew of them. And then after that, there's going to be more. So that's almost just like the tip of the iceberg with Memphis and West Virginia. So I think we're going to see a lot more, especially when you have players that are hungry. You know, even if it's not for a national championship, they want to end their season on a high note. And what better than a bowl game? What better than a bowl game? And a good majority of bowl games are on, whether it be prime time, they're on a national stage, you know, Fox, ABC, ESPN, you know, CBS, you know, players are getting seen. Players are getting seen. And of course, the college, just like we said, we love kind of these small colleges, these small markets that are getting the recognition. And West Virginia and Memphis, they put themselves out there for a really great game, a really great game.